Hey everybody, Ricky here. Today I'm going to be flying the Mirage, showcasing some of its ground attack capabilities, commentary, and some all-around general information. This is not a tutorial per se, but I will be discussing some simple tactics, and to the best of my knowledge explain some of the processes used in an attack or a cast run. I will be using a loadout of 4 GBU-12s and 2 Magic 2 missiles. I am not completely comfortable flying this bird, but it is my understanding that an actual combat loadout would consist of 2 external fuel tanks, 150 rounds of cannon, and either 6 Mark 82s, Mark 82 S's or the Snake Eyes, cluster munitions, or 2 GBU-12s. It also can carry the single GBU-16 or GBU-24 with a mix and match of dumb bombs. For our purposes, and seeing how this is the first time I've tried an actual mission out, we're going to take 4 of them. This mission, I have been tasked with assisting NATO ground units pinned down by armor inside a small town southwest of our main AO. I do have an NPC JTAC on the ground lasing targets for me. His call sign is Ferret, and even though I have heard 1,009 lines from the guys in my armor unit, I'm not as familiar with this process as I should be. As the mission continues, you will notice a few things. One is that I'm not the finest DCS pilot out there, and while I have been playing for quite some time, the majority of my time is spent in the editor or in single player missions or really in the Korean era uh, aircraft, along with reading online materials in an attempt to figure out proper tactics, strategies, and maneuvers. Like I said, today I will be using the GBU-12s. The GBU, or Guided Bomb Unit, is officially known as the GBU-12 Paveway 2, and while the GBUs are based on the Mark 82 dumb bombs, unlike the Mark 82s, they have a laser seeker mounted in their nose and directional fins on their tail, and those help steer the bomb towards its intended targets. GBUs are a laser guided weapon, meaning you will either need a JTAC on the ground, lasing the target for you, or a buddy in the air that has a targeting laser. Due to some of the response times and overall quirkiness of the comms between myself and Ferret here, I have him begin lasing targets well before I should. This process is normally a well choreographed dance between the individual lasing, whether that be the JTAC or your Sky Buddy, and when you line up and drop the ordnance. According to some of the guys on Hoggit and the ED forums, it appears that the target should be lit up 10 to 15 seconds prior to impact to avoid your bombs falling short. Uh, Here, though, I have identified finally my AO. I did have some difficulty, and zooming in, I see the noted red smoke from the beginning of the mission. Everything northeast of that smoke is going to be unfriendly, and my buddies are pinned down to the southwest of the smoke there. So everything basically on that road and on the right of that smoke is unfriendly. Everything to the left is friendly. As I lock in my area with the mark, I realize that my altitude is a little low. The manual says that you don't want to release any lower than 3,000 feet, but it is my understanding that many of these attacks come from well above Angel's 10, which would be 10,000 feet or so. I also egress to the east and plan on approaching again from the southeast. While keeping in mind my friendly location, I want to mix up the direction of my attacks and the direction of my withdrawals or my egresses, making sure the enemy has some difficulty predicting where I'm going to be and when. Overall, it makes me a little safer and keeps the enemy confused. I am in game comms menu here. Prior to my first attack there, I contacted Ferret, informed him that I was on station and for how long, and told him my loadout. In this case, it was the 4 GBUs and 150 rounds of cannon. He called in and informed me that he had a few targets. If conditions permit, which they always do in DCS, the JTAC will use what is called a 9 line to call me in on a single target or group of targets. It can also be used for other services like pararescue, evac, etc. Like I said before, my ARMA guys are much better at utilizing 9 lines than I am, but simply put, it's 9 pieces of basic information a pilot uses to orient himself to the situation, prepare his attack, conduct his attack, and egress from his attack. It all starts with the IP. That's the first piece of information, or your initial point. This is the point of origin for the attack. It's followed by a heading, the heading from the IP to the target, a distance, which is just the distance from the IP to the target, target elevation, that's going to be above mean sea level, uh, target description, in this case it's tanks, target location, and this is given by grid, which you saw me earlier looking on my grid trying to figure out where the AO was. If needed, landmarks can be used. I don't know how often that's actually used, but I'm sure in real life it's used quite often. The mark type, and this tells how the target will be designated. We, of course, are using a laser here. Friendlies, this is where our guys are in reference to the target, not the IP. So we know where the target's at, and we need to know where our friendlies are in reference to what we're attacking. And then finally is the egress, and this is the direction the pilot will exit the area or the control area where he's engaging enemy combatants. Sometimes, and again always in DCS, you will receive remarks from the JTAC, and this is basically any other applicable information. Will the attack be danger close? Are there threats to the pilot? Bad weather? Hazards? Requested ordnance? Etc. And as far as requested ordnance, in our case, they asked for a GBU 12. Of course they did, because that's all I'm carrying. Typical DCS fashion. Here we should get a good view of detonation on target. It appears, though, that I must have dropped 2 bombs on my first pass, seeing as after this drop I only have a single GBU left. It's obvious I need some work here, and I look forward to refining my air-to-ground skills in the Mirage. Also, in the future, I hope to have some more focused and polished videos up for the community. In the last year or two, the DCS community has really been everything I thought it would be, and those were some pretty high expectations since, as noted, my roots are with the incredibly dedicated and skilled ARMA community. I have also been very impressed with Razbam and their work on the Mirage, and man, I'm looking forward to the next projects as well. They are continuously adding new features, tuning existing features, and listening to the community. To me, it is incredibly rare that their team has been virtually 100% transparent with everybody, so I really thank them for that. Finally, I want to say thanks for listening to my ramblings, and thanks for watching, guys. Ricky Tikki Tabby, checking out.